Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Kenny Pickett is trending ahead of the Steelers-Eagles showdown. Week 15 will be the first opportunity for quarterback Kenny Pickett to face the team that drafted him, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He isn't expected to play with Jalen Hurts healthy and starting for the Philadelphia Eagles. But if it were up to some Eagles fans, Pickett would receive the opportunity to start his revenge game versus the Steelers in Week 15. Pickett was trending on X, formerly Twitter, on December 9th and 10th. Most of the tweets addressed the idea of Pickett replacing Hurts in the Philadelphia starting lineup. Jalen Hurts is not the answer, one Eagles fan told reporter Kyle Pagan after Philadelphia's Week 14 win. We have a number one defense, running back. Jalen Hurts is not the answer. While that fan didn't mention Pickett, others did on social media. Listen to the people and start Kenny Pickett against the Steelers, a X user tweeted. It's time to start the very serious Kenny Pickett conversation, an Eagles fan tweeted. This team wins a Super Bowl if you put him on the field. Kenny Pickett, Jalen Hurts, wrote another social media user. If Pickett was starting for the Eagles or if the Steelers-Eagles showdown was in Pittsburgh on December 15th, then the Pickett vs. Steelers storyline would be a bigger deal in the traditional media ahead of Week 15. But Pickett has only attempted 3 passes this season as Hurts' backup with the Eagles. Pickett has appeared in 3 games, all of which came when Philadelphia had a big lead. Pickett has completed one of his 3 passes for 5 yards this season. He's also taken a sack and rushed for -1 yard. Pickett took a knee twice at the end of a game, which is why he has negative rushing yards. This past offseason, the Steelers traded Pickett to the Eagles 5 days after signing quarterback Russell Wilson. Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer reported on March 18 the Steelers plan to have Wilson practice with the first-team offense at OTAs. The plan was to then have Pickett compete with Wilson for the starting role the rest of the offseason. That apparently upset Pickett. Breer wrote that Pickett felt misled by Tomlin because the coach told him before the Steelers signed Wilson that there would be an open competition for the job. Pickett addressed why he wanted out of Pittsburgh during his Eagles introductory press conference. "I just thought it was time," Pickett said, via NBC Sports Philadelphia. "It just felt like it was time from the things that transpired. Wanted to get a chance to go somewhere else and continue to grow my career." In Pittsburgh, Pickett would have started in place of Wilson for as many as 6 games because of Wilson's calf injury to begin the 2024 season. But hopefully for Pickett's sake, he's been able to grow this year without playing time in Philadelphia. Steelers fans caught wind of Eagles supporters on X calling for Pickett to start behind center for Philadelphia. Pittsburgh fans are in favor of the move, but not because they agree that Pickett is better than Hurts. "Dear Eagles, please put Kenny Pickett in against Pittsburgh. He'll be great." Signed, TJ Watt, joked a X user. "I am begging you, please start Kenny Pickett next week," wrote a Steelers fan. "Please start Kenny Pickett on Sunday," tweeted a Pittsburgh native. In 2 seasons with the Steelers, Pickett posted a 14-10 record as a starter. But he threw only 13 touchdowns versus 13 interceptions and averaged 6.3 yards per attempt with a 62.4% completion percentage. Hurts is 11-2 as a starter with 16 touchdown passes with 5 interceptions this season. He's averaged 8 yards per pass and leads the NFL with 13 rushing touchdowns. The Eagles will enter their matchup with the Steelers on a 9-game winning streak. Browns cut ties with top draft bust after ugly day against Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cleveland Browns have cut wide receiver Kadarius Toney after he had an ugly day against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. Not only did Toney have an ugly muff of a punt that the Steelers recovered at the end of the game, but he got called for a taunting penalty that set the Browns back when they would have had great field position. All of those things led to Toney's release from the team. He had just been elevated from the practice squad and the Browns had worked him into packages and as a returner. Now, It seems that has been mixed after Tony's actions. Tony's career has been rocky from the start. A first-round pick by the New York Giants out of Florida, he was traded after just a season with the team. The Kansas City Chiefs acquired him, but even then, they could not get much out of Tony, who never saw his skills translate from the college level to the NFL. He has just 82 receptions for 762 yards to this point in his career, and there is no guarantee that the 25-year-old wide receiver will get another chance after the Browns cut him. Ben Roethlisberger places Mike Tomlin number 2 in Coach of Year rankings. He explains why he isn't number 1. Doubted throughout the offseason and preseason, most pundits expected the Pittsburgh Steelers to be more of the same. Win 8 or 9 games, remain in the playoff hunt, probably squeak into the postseason, and be quickly bounced. The jury remains out on how the season will end, but they've blown past every other projection. Sitting at 10-3 and in the driver's seat to win the AFC North, Mike Tomlin is in contention to win the first Coach of the Year award of his 18-year career. Ben Roethlisberger thinks Tomlin is worthy. There's just one other name more deserving. Sharing his top 7 rankings for the award, Tomlin came in at number 2. Taking silver, not gold. The only reason I'm not putting him at number 1 is because of what Dan Campbell is doing in Detroit, Roethlisberger said on the latest edition of his Footballin' podcast. Surprisingly, no Dan Quinn of the 8-5 Washington Commanders. Campbell is the oddsmaker's favorite to win the award. Tomlin sits in third behind the Minnesota Vikings' Kevin O'Connell. After nearly making the Super Bowl a year ago, Campbell's Detroit Lions looked poised to make another serious run at it. Tied with the Kansas City Chiefs for the league's best record at 12-1, the Lions have one of the most inventive and creative offenses and have overcome repeated defensive injuries. That included losing star DE Aiden Hutchinson midway through the year to a broken leg. Despite his absence and the loss of several other starters, the Lions are tied for the second-best scoring defense in football while holding the number 1 scoring attack. Still, Roethlisberger conceded there was a case for Tomlin to win it. I will give you this argument because I know people will say Dan Campbell has a good team, and Mike Tomlin's probably doing more with less. But only at the quarterback position. When I say that, that's not a knock at Russ. That's because of the unknown coming into the season. Pittsburgh went into 2024, overhauling its quarterback room. The plan was to start Wilson, but Justin Fields got the nod the first 6 weeks after Wilson re-injured a summer calf strain. Pittsburgh went 4-2 under Fields before pivoting back to Wilson, who has gone 6-1. That makes Tomlin's output look even more impressive, juggling 2 quarterbacks, whereas Detroit has been fortunate to stick with Jared Goff all year. What Coach T has done with the more unknown is more than what Dan Campbell's done with a well-known team, Roethlisberger said of Tomlin. In Campbell versus Tomlin, there is no wrong answer. Both are worthy. How the rest of the season ends for both men may determine who comes out on top. Despite their sterling record, the Lions haven't locked up the NFC North, with the 11-2 Minnesota Vikings hot on their heels. The two teams face each other in the regular season finale. Pittsburgh faces a tough final 4 games, playing the Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens, and Kansas City Chiefs over an 11-day span before finishing the season hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. If they can impress the rest of the way, the Steelers' buzz over Super Bowl contention will only grow, and it could push Tomlin over Campbell for the award. Of course, neither coach cares about that trophy. They only want the one with Lombardi's name on it. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Ben Roethlisberger? Leave your opinion in the comments.